So I think violence against the girl child in Jamaica is three-dimensional in this case. It's direct, it is structural, and it is cultural. In terms of direct violence, we often see it in a domestic context, where girls are sexually abused in their homes, and not just sexually abused. Sometimes it is also a combination of emotional abuse. So that, I think, is physical violence or direct violence enacted upon the girl child domestically. Structurally, when girls are sometimes moved out of these situations in their homes and end up in the state system, it does not necessarily get better for them. There is limited access to resources. Sometimes they are not able to access education because of safety reasons. There's a feeling of ostracization, not being able to connect with any other family member, not really being able to connect with friends. And this does not necessarily mean that is the end of physical violence for them. Sometimes they encounter this kind of violence too, from people who are supposed to be in charge of them, who are supposed to take care of them, and also from the different wards of the state. I think it is also very cultural, and we can speak to this from the standpoint of sexual grooming. I think sexual grooming is not really looked at as or frowned upon. Most people see it as, oh, somebody just wants to take care of them, but in fact it is an offense and it is not supposed to happen, and it is with the intent that one day that these girls will give sexual favors. So I think direct, cultural, and structural violence are all a combination of the type of violence that girls face in Jamaica. So legislative-wise, I know that Jamaica has signed and ratified the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and this is an international treaty that lends protection to children across the world for countries who have signed and ratified the convention. Locally speaking, I know about the Child Care and Protection Act, which talks about the best interest of the child, and these legislative documents are supposed to be enacted to protect children. So in this case, we can talk about what is legislative and what is also the reality. So even though we have these conventions in place, the enactment of them is sometimes faulty, and so we don't see the best results from these conventions because I don't think we don't know them well enough sometimes, and the implementation of them by the different parts or the different sections of people who are supposed to implement them does not always work in the best interest of the child. So I think an area of progress is in the information sector. So raising awareness, girls knowing what their rights are, how to seek redress for violence enacted upon them, and how to kind of access different resources. And there are more safe spaces popping up for girls, and just having that kind of support system, which is very important. So I think that is a win for us. In terms of not so good, I think we have a vast amount of legislation, whether internationally signed or locally created, but there is no teeth to the law. I don't think we take it very seriously, or the bureaucracy behind all of it just kind of waters it down, and so there is not enough done and not in a reasonable time to actually show that we are making progress and actually have other people starting to report more and starting to trust in the system. So what we should be doing to reduce or eliminate violence against women and girls. For the government, it's giving these laws and these treaties and these different conventions more teeth, more room to actually be enacted, and more. So it's making sure that these laws count and that the citizens feel protected by them through the different implementation strategies. It's also making sure that there are resources and infrastructure that girls can access if they are victims of violence, and making sure that these different resources act within the laws and actually take care of the girls who are in state care. For civil society, it is continuing to raise awareness. It is creating more safe spaces for these girls so they can access healing, and it is calling out the government on areas that they fall short and making sure that they are held accountable for the different things that are happening in the society. For citizens, it's simply just making sure that no one can count on your silence. If there is an incident of abuse that you have seen, you have heard of, or you just suspect that is happening, make sure you make a report on it so something can be done to help this culture. So the Beijing Declaration and Platform of Action will be celebrating 25 years next year, since it was created and signed and ratified by countries that are jointly meeting. And I think the government now should be ensuring that the 12 crucial areas of this declaration are realized by pumping resources and support into these crucial areas, to making sure that the overarching goal of the declaration is achieved, to make sure that Jamaica is much safer and